half a second wrong maneuver on how he jumps and maybe he's not coordinating because of the wind, he's risking his life and he's dead. And the first time I saw it, I was like, fuck yeah, this is like a great idea. Like this is
Yeah.
I feel like when we replayed that footage with the team, we were like screaming because like it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like, yeah, and we're like, what the fuck is this? Like,
A lot of creators, and you probably know this, when you're starting out, sometimes it's tough to find people that want brands, editors, anyone to just work with them consistently over time.
yeah,
How have you found that relationship, and how do you build that?
beers, man. Wine and beers.
Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Cut. Today we got Antoine, and it's incredible what he did and what the team did with this project, especially with the limitations and, from idea to production spanning over like 10 years. It's an incredible conversation. So if you guys do enjoy this, please like and subscribe. All right, let's get into it. We'll watch the video first because this is what everyone's going to have questions about.
Yeah,
And then we'll
sure.
get into everything.
There you
Okay,
go.
dude, that was amazing. I still watch it and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is crazy. You guys did an amazing job, first of all. Um,
Thanks. Appreciate it.
how did you guys come up with the concept to do this?
Basically, Baltic is like the founder of Baltic is actually one of my closest friend. So shout out to Etienne, who has been like, giving me a lot of space to work around these films over the years. And before actually having this watch brand, they had like sunglasses brand, and so the first film we did about like a Baltic was like, I think not the first, but like the second one was this diving watch. And I always, so I would just wanted to do something a little bit more disruptive, something different. Like most of the watch commercials, it's like always kind of the same thing. Like you have this diver going underwater and seeking for some loneliness, a little bit of poetry. there's a lot of sauce and then and mystery that was put into it, and I just wanted to explore something different. So instead of diving under the water, I wanted to do like something diving, from like a rock, from a building, from a bridge or whatsoever, like on like inside the water. But at that time, they were not willing to take the risk because he was a little bit too disruptive as like a young brand, like just like entering the market. And then like the biggest thing is also at that time, I really wanted to capture, the fall and the dive itself. But that was like maybe 10 years ago, and we just didn't have the technology to do it. And then yeah, I mean like at that time, I feel like the Phantom was the only slow motion camera available. I didn't want to use like tricks like Twixtor to do like capture like the slow motion bit of the film. So yeah, so basically the idea like was on paper. I sent them like the treatment like 10 years ago, and it was just on my computer like for 10 years. And then like recently, so that was like a little bit less than a year ago, the Etienne reached back to me and he was like, "Hey, we're like launching the Mark II model of this diving watch. Do you want to do a film about it?" I was like, "Hey, fuck yeah, of course I want to do it."
Yeah.
And then I just remember like I have this treatment like somewhere in my computer, like, and then I was like, "Okay, so Etienne, I'm gonna propose you actually the first idea I proposed you 10 years ago. Now like we have new cameras, like the Ember Free Fly. It's a very compact
Yeah.
camera and very light, which is you can actually rig it on like on a FPV drone, on a racer drone, and then capture the entire scene. So that's a 10 years old idea that's just like came back to surface like yeah, a year ago.
That's crazy. So, oh man, so it was all just based off that one dive. Like that's what that's what you envisioned in your head. You're like, okay,
Yeah,
this is what
yeah,
I'm basing it off of. That is
exactly. Yeah,
incredible.
the whole time was like I want to capture something that lasts for I think the full dive was like 1.95 seconds if you played like in real speed, like 25 frame,
Yeah.
and slow it down. We were shooting around, I think, maybe like 600 or 800 frame per second. So if you put like 25 frames per second, it was like close to like 40 seconds. Like the full jump was like, if we like played like playback in slow motion, it was like 40 seconds. So we obviously had to cut it to make it fit like into the film. But yeah, the idea was to capture this. Yeah,
How many times did you have to like do the jump actually and film it?
that was a tricky part. So I contacted Lois Simzak, who's like an Olympic athlete from the diving team for France. And he was like super excited about the project. And then, like in my mind, we actually didn't discuss it too much when we were like doing the prep, scouting and everything. So because like in my mind, he could like, he's a professional, he could jump like maybe 20 times.
Yeah.
And then, and then I think like was like a week before, maybe like 3, 4 days before, he told me like, "Dude, are you aware I'm gonna do like one or two jump tops?" I was like, "No, what?" How am I like gonna capture that like in two jumps? Because I want to do, multiple cameras, multiple scenes, rehearsed, find different angles and make sure we, capture like the actual jump from every angle as possible. And he was like, "No, I'm probably gonna do like two maximum, like maybe three if we're lucky." So he basically, I think like the first jump, it was like he climbed like half height of the rock and just did like kind of a rehearsal. So from that, we captured like some shots, underwater shots and everything. And then we tried like with the drone, because the drone was like super tricky as well, like all the sync. So I was like using comms to be with the drone pilot, with the safety guy that was on the rock, with the guy who was underwater, the safety guys on the boat as well. So everything was about like a sinking, like a sinking orchestra, just to make sure we had like the proper shot. And I have like really want to shoot out to Benjamin from Full Motion, who is like an incredibly talented, drone pilot. The guy has been, he did like I think like European Championship of, drone racing.
Oh
He's been
man.
doing like incredible amount of work. And then, he obviously builds his own racer drones and everything. So he knows the camera and, he knows the drones by heart. And I feeling like actually, so the first dive which was a rehearsal dive. We obviously shot it, and it was already like a pretty decent shot. We're like, okay, we have like at least we have like one safety take. I think like at some point of the footage there was like the foot or the like the hand of the diver was going out of frame, but like maybe for half a second, that not much. But like the first take was already like pretty okay. And then we went for the second jump from like the full height of like the rock, and then yeah, it was like inside the camera. Like the take was good. The jump was great. Like the posture of the guy was actually better than the first one. So I wanted to push a little bit more, and I asked like actually Lois if he could do like a third jump from even higher actually. And then when he reached out to the top, like it was, like the wind was starting to blow, so we could see him actually like trying to balance himself and not to fall from the rock. And he, like, he called it. He was like, "Yeah,
Oh
I'm not gonna do it. It's
man.
like too dangerous because it's like half a second wrong maneuver on how he jumps, and maybe he's not coordinating because of the wind. He's risking his life for it. He could just like fall flat under the water, and he's dead. So yeah, that was scary, really scary.
That that's insane. And so you guys only did it twice? I felt like a and because I guess a lot of the prep time, it's like the syncing and everything and making sure everything's good. How long did it take to set up just one take and then actually shoot it? Because I'll assume right now it probably took a while before you guys got that.
Yeah, I mean, like, so we had like three cameras. We have like the camera that was underwater. We had the cameras that was like basically in the coastline, like facing the rock, and then the camera from the drone. So the setting was not that much. Yeah, because you could go to the rock in front of the water by land, or you can go by boat. Either
Yeah.
case, the climb was like pretty easy, so nothing tricky. And like Lois, the diver definitely knows his job, and he's very confident. So once he said like, "Okay, I'm ready," it's pretty much whenever I call it. So I think like, and like we arrived on site, it was like around like 8 in the morning, maybe earlier, and the first jump was like, yeah, 9 ish.
Wow, okay.
So yeah,
That's pretty good.
that was pretty fast. Yeah, yeah. And then we were hoping for better, like, better light condition. It was a little bit cloudy. So, sometimes we just like, stand by, waiting
You're
for the
waiting
sun to
around.
shows up a
Yeah.
little bit. Exactly. But that was like still okay.
And you guys scouted the location. You guys found this perfect spot. You're like, "Oh, this is perfect
Yeah.
to do the dive." Did you have to go with him to make sure like, "Hey, is this safe for you to do this here?" Or what was
So,
the thought
yeah.
process?
Lois is basically working on a project of his where he's actually going to do like, because France is a country like divided in like in small departments. And there's like many departments over France, and he's working on like in a photo book project where basically he's going to go to each department and find like one of the most beautiful diving spots, and then capture it and like put it back on like in a beautiful book. So I was asking him because I was already, like looking to Corsica, some, beautiful spots. Corsica was amazing, but it was pretty tricky because it was like in a mountain lake. So you had to hike for like maybe 6, 7 hours. And I'm talking with like all the equipment, the lenses,
Oh my god.
all the gear. And so like hiking for 7 hours was like two drones, like two Inspire, one backup, like the like four cameras, the whole crew and everything. That was a little bit too tricky. And then I was asking him like, "Oh, do you know like maybe a backup that's like good looking?" He's actually the one who suggested to go to La Pointe du Dramont, which is like in south of France. And then yeah, basically I went there. I went there scouting and was like, "Okay, this is perfect." I mean, we have like a beautiful red rock. The contrast with the blue of the
Yeah.
sea was like perfect. I was like, "Okay, just let's do it here." And then yeah, that's how we
Wow.
went basically.
This is insane. Okay. This shot it actually stands out so much to me.
Yeah. So you were right. I mean, like when we watched the review of the video, you were exactly right. So basically, again, I wanted to capture that in camera during the dive, but for obvious reasons,
It's tough, yeah. The
it's
conditions are
tough.
tough.
the conditions are tough. It was impossible, and I'm not. And I was like, okay, like we have to have a close up at some point. Like this is for a watch company, so for a watch brand, we need to see a little bit more of the the wristbands, the watch, the facial expression, everything. So yeah, you were totally right. I went to the city hall and asked like for an empty parking lot, and if we could borrow like a those Olympic trampoline of them, and then we just like sit it like in a shitty area, like in a small, like like a shitty suburb, like in the city in the south of France, and then we just did like a couple of shots. No lighting as well, because it was a white trampoline, so we had like natural reflection on the.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, in my head, I thought you guys were bouncing it. So this is incredible. This shot that you guys actually did it on the trampoline. I was really guessing. I was like in my head. I was just thinking to get the shot and like to get it that many times because I feel like at that point, then you could do it as many times as you want and get the
Yeah.
perfect shot for this.
But yeah, basically the idea was to, like, take advantage of that so we can, have some details. And I wanted to have a little bit more of this, some facial expressions. I was briefing, Louis to, yeah, to believe that he was actually making the jump. So that felt necessary for sure. And then also that was like, for us a trick to shorten a little bit the full jump, because if we wanted to have like the full jump, the film was going to last like, yeah, at least like 2 minutes longer. So just to be able to add like a small cut into that sequence was definitely helping us to like have a decent length through the film.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, and we're I mean like I want to like actually really thanks the guys from Free Fly, because they made the camera that's has an incredibly high dynamic range for the speed of the camera, and that for sure allows you, like in small budget configuration, to still reach for a decent quality image. And then yeah, very happy with with the camera for sure.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
It's incredible now that I feel like your vision came to life after all these years, you know? How like because of the tech, which is kind of incredible.
Because of the tech, and also with the with Etienne from Baltic, was my client, because at that time they were like not ready to do something like this. They wanted to establish something like more classic, and it was a good decision from their part as well. It would have been too
Mm.
disruptive for a launch of a brand. They wanted to install and set up some some basics and some codes that you can rely to into the watch industry, and they did that brilliantly. We did like like the first film that was great in that sense as well. So, and then also I am actually very thankful to them that like they pushed me towards not do it like 10 years ago, because we didn't have the tech, and I would have done something I think like more I don't know, like messy, and that would definitely not catch like the exact idea that I had at the time for this film. So yeah, just like circumstances. Planets were not aligned at that time, and they were like 8 months ago. So yeah.
There's certain shots like this too. It's crazy that you guys only got to do this a couple times.
Yeah.
Like even this, the feet coming in just looks so beautiful.
Mhm.
I feel like because you haven't seen what it looks like before this, right? Because you guys didn't get to practice this.
No. And then like the tricky part about like shooting underwater is that there is no signal underwater.
Yeah.
If you want to have like live feedback of what you're actually seeing on the camera, you have to use cable. And then I was like 300 meters away from that, and we're not like gonna have like 300 meters of like
Yeah,
cables
okay, well,
just to have
no.
like a feedback and to know. So the DP that was like underwater is a friend of ours. It's called Laurent Pujol. He actually won an Emmy for best documentary this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, and then he knows his stuff. And I was like basically during, I think, lunch break and before the shoot, obviously, I was like briefing him. So I need this. I want some texture. I want to see the face. I want to see some bubbles. I want to see no, no, no. So, and then yeah. So that was basically okay. Do your thing. This is the brief. Make sure that we have some image. And again, that's like a tricky part because you are underwater, so you don't know where is the point of impact. You have like a rough guess of the shape. Okay, he's
Yeah,
coming this
yeah,
way, but that's like, no, seriously, dude, like the amount of dark spots, like that
I
we have
get
like
that's
no
crazy
control
how
over
it's
it. Oh gosh.
that is insane. I feel like I would miss the whole thing. Like he would be diving behind
Yeah.
me, and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, yeah. But I was like, and when we finished like the entire production, and then so Luhan like handed me like this hard drive, and he was like, okay, here are like all the takes about today. I was like, okay, cool. And then we heard, we had like a couple of beers, and like the crew was already, leaving apart. And then I remember like in my room, I was like opening the first thing, and I think like it had like maybe hundreds of shots, like literally hundreds of shots. And I was like, okay. And then I was just scrolling. I was not finding exactly what I wanted. And I was like kind of freaking out at some point because I really wanted those like underwater shots. And then, at some point you're like trying to lose hope, and pop. You just like, pop to the screen. You're like, okay, that's the one. But yeah. And then again,
Dang.
we don't have like much more. I think we have like one other shots that was working as well, but that one was for sure the best and exactly what we wanted. So yeah, it worked out. The amount of stuff that was not like really under control, and that we're like just okay, like, let's try to do it, and then we'll see how it's gonna happen. It's insane. And at the end, when Francois, who's like the editor and who has like a huge part in this film as well, because I mean, like I've been working with this guy for like a number of years, like yeah, 10 years. And then he's my right arm. He has like he knows what I see, and then he brings something else into the edits that actually makes the whole thing. So this would never happen like without him for sure. And then like, and I want to mention like specifically, I don't know if maybe that was like one of your question, but like we change of frame. Like at some point we went from like a
Yeah.
square format to opening exactly. So that was like his idea. I actually did not suggest that. Like, and the first time I saw it, I was like, "Fuck yeah,
Wow.
this is like a great idea. Like, this is
Yeah.
really good," because it's it also like brings like two parts of the film, like two dimensions of the films. The first one, which is like more confined, trying to stay into like in his mind, like trying to understand what he's doing, and then like the opening is the dive and the arm spreading and everything just like gives like a much bigger dimension to the film. And then yeah, and I think that he like this his inspiration was actually from Mummy, the film Mummy of Xavier Dolan.
Yeah.
And then yeah, and then I think it was just like an immense idea from Francois to do this on this particular video. Yeah.
It was perfect. Well, like for me as a viewer just watching it, it
Mhm.
actually it felt like that. The whole
Okay.
the preparation of him is like visualizing the jump. Boom. And it's like the amount of focus you need has to almost feel like a tunnel, like it just
Okay.
compact. And in the moment this happened, it felt so freeing. Like it felt really, really good. So, yeah, so when I noticed it, I was like, "Oh, this is actually a really cool way to do it." So it's so cool that, you know, he decided to, actually do it, and then you're like, "Oh, this is fucking sick."
And it's crazy because like I've been like when you're like into the editing phase and you haven't released the film yet, and you're just like showing to the closest person, like have some feedbacks and stuff. It's funny because like there are some people who actually noticed the change of frame, and others just didn't. And I would almost say like it's close to a 50-50.
Wow. Yeah.
And I like the idea like UK there is like a massive, a drastic change into a frame, but that is like unnoticeable. Uh,
Yeah. No, 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 I get that
yeah, which
too.
I
I
enjoy
think
as well.
that's
I like when you notice it, and I was like, hey, you notice the effort, and I also enjoy the fact that you don't notice it. I think that's the cool ways of seeing it are
yeah,
pretty cool. Yeah,
for sure, because it's like you're so deep into
yeah,
what
yeah,
you're watching that you don't really
exactly. Yeah,
notice
that's the
the
point.
small
Yeah,
details.
yeah,
Yeah, no, that's cool. And the storyline too, to prep this, because I know this is all based off this one jump.
yeah. So that was a hard one. Yeah. I mean, if you see, like, I mean, like, the genuine story is not too complicated. It's just like basically someone, waking up and then um, not going on an adventure, but like seeking its goal and like, okay, I'm gonna go to this specific location and do this specific dive. So the whole story is like very simple. So it was like it's I think what we wanted to add to like this simple story is basically the idea of like surprise, because I think there is like no clue that the guy is actually going to do anything with water at some point. And like I think the first shot where you actually see water is like this drone shot where you're actually revealing the scene, and you're realizing that the guy is actually on the top of like a cliff and is about to do something that you're still not 100% sure about. So that was like the entire point, trying to build up like the intrigue by not revealing the aspect of the water. That adds up, I mean, like to the simple story basically. And also like in this, like to support this approach, the wardrobe was like super important, because like most of those guys when they do that they had like some super skinny shorts,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
topless,
yeah.
exactly, or they have like the swimsuit or everything. And then we really wanted to avoid that, and then make it like super simple, very natural. So black trousers, black shirts, and then make sure that he's gonna do something special, but leave no clue before actually seeing the sea for the first time.
Ah. Oh, that's super intentional. That makes
Yeah,
total sense though.
yeah,
And it would feel completely different if he was wearing
yeah.
the
I think
gear
the
to
only
the.
clue is actually there is like a very fast forward like sequence at the beginning.
Yeah, like it's like
Yeah, and there is
uh
some underwater texture. Um, yeah, very, very
yeah,
simple
like
texture,
there.
but that's it. And the rest of it is like basically keep it as simple as possible. Very little information, so we can actually build up the suspense and create some nice shots basically at the end.
This sequence too was amazing. Like just because I think you mentioned like there's no CG and
No,
stuff.
no.
And then after I was looking at this, I was like, okay, how did this even happen?
So I think like when we replayed that footage with the team, we were like screaming because like it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like, yeah, we're like, what the fuck is this? Like so the story is basically so the drone when he's doing the dive, basically the pilot is like, putting to zero all the engines and just like doing the dive. And at the last moment, he's like pulling back the engine, so saved obviously the camera and the drone, and then had to nose up so he can actually avoid and falling into the water. So those drop, what you're seeing is actually the drops from the dive
Just
of
coming.
Luis coming up, and
What?
like the camera and the drone like escaping the scene and going through like the remaining drops from the impact.
That is incredible, man.
Incredible. And then when we saw this, we're like, damn, we like I could not even like wish to have this. It was like just like the biggest and the nicest coincidence to have.
Dude, yeah, there's just something about it. It just matches so well with the whole thing,
Yeah.
like the whole idea of like the freeing of the water, like
Yeah,
the I
yeah,
don't know,
exactly.
it's like flying. Oh, yeah, I thought it was like visual effects. You could almost assume they're like okay, because it seems too perfect.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
like so perfect.
Yeah, of course. So that's why I mean, like in most of my work with Francois, we really want to avoid like as much as CG as possible.
Yeah.
So never using of green screen or whatsoever. Like it's basically everything in camera, nice edits and nice color grading, and we put like also like a very very strong efforts into sound design, music, and I think like with all those 5 ingredients, we can already build like a pretty cool films.
Yes, and the sound design and music. Did you have an idea of what it was gonna be roughly like before you guys shot, or did you? Was this first?
Basically, yeah, the music is some. I love the guys I work with, and I want to give them like as much as free space as possible to basically create what they do best. And I think like that's like super important. Basically, do the cuts, send them to them. Like, okay, what's your vision on it? Like, and then from there we start building a little bit more of the music. This one was Russ Scheim, who is like is a composer, And then he was actually a friend of Etienne from Baltic, so he suggested like we would work together on this one. And then yeah, it was just like a great collaboration, and then the music was just I think like first draft was like almost like 90% perfect. We just gave him like a bit of tweaks, a bit of ideas and stuff, and then yeah, it just worked out. And for the sound design is it's my buddy Francois, who's like the editor as well. He's like he just he has it all. He's like a
Yeah.
super talented guy. And then I think like being able to do the sound, do like work on the sound design and also the edits, just have like more control over the entire result. And yeah, I mean like he's the best dude on for this.
You mentioned working with, obviously a team and kind of the same people,
Yeah.
even with like Baltic and stuff like that.
Hmm.
What makes you have that relationship, or what's like the important parts? Because a lot of creators, and you probably know this, when you're starting out, sometimes it's tough to find people that want brands, editors, anyone to just work with them consistently over time.
Yeah.
How have you found that relationship, and how do you build that with both the brand and both? And I know you said it's a close friend of yours is running the brand, but how do you do that?
Beers, man. Wine and beers.
You know what? I should have told you this. I'm like, I love drinking beers and just having drinks, and I should do it on the podcast because like there's so much
Yeah.
people where I'm like, man, we should just drink and just watch stuff. Like that's like the whole thing.
No,
Um,
I mean like f- for sure there was like there is at some point you start working with someone for the first time, and then like Francois for instance, basically I had like a production company in France, and I think Francois showed up at the door with his CV. He was like, "Hey, can I be an internship like a intern here?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure, why not?" And then it's been like I had like the company for several years, like maybe 6, 7, and I closed the company at some point, and we kept being like best buddies, sharing the same passion, which is like wine, food, and also making videos together. And then for the rest of the guys, is basically kind of the same story. You start working on the same film because like the production house introduce you, and then you get
yeah.
acquainted like on the same project, and from that yeah, you go share a meal, and then mostly some wine and and beers, but
Yeah, yeah. That's when you really get to know a person.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh hell
It's
yeah.
a very, I mean, like it's probably the same in the US. I've been working in the US and China as well. And then you get along with most of the crew, afterwards.
Yeah, yeah.
And then that's when you actually start talking about like, your souvenirs, memories, like worse like shooting nightmares and everything. And then yeah, and then you just like call them back. And then that's how you do like, you like get a great team and also have great friends.
Which is something interesting you just said, because you're like, oh yeah, the passion for food and wine and things
Mm.
like that. Um, you have a lot of passions,
Hmm.
and I feel like because you also own a restaurant, is that
Yep.
right?
Sure. Yeah.
You own a okay. There's so much stuff. When I'm like going through your stuff, I'm like, okay, you race, you
Yeah.
filming, you passion for wine, food. How do you one have the time to do all these things, and how do you build your life going for the things that you love to do? Like, because it's hard. It's hard for someone
Yeah.
to do one thing.
Okay.
How are you so successful at it?
Uh, First of all, I'm not like especially successful at those, because I would be like in racing magazine if I was, but that's
Yeah.
not the case.
Hey, you still got time. You still
Yeah,
got
yeah, I still
time.
got time, but yeah, I mean, like racing is for sure like a passion. It's a very, I would say, like consuming, like money wise and time wise
Yeah.
passion. So I do that like on rare occasions. Like I go on the track maybe like 4 or 5 times a year, and I do like proper racing like maybe 3 times a year, which is already like, yeah, I mean, like a huge opportunity to do it, and I'm like very grateful to all the guys around like supporting me on it. And then like the restaurant, which is also a hotel, is a family business. So hopefully I'm doing this with my mom, and my mom is the one who's taking like most of the work because she's managing the place. I'm trying to like bring a little bit my vision, art direction, strategy to the place as well, but my mom is basically the person managing the place. So I mean, like you find time where like you're surrounded with great people and supporting you, and then yeah, and also I have like an amazing wife and kid that are helping me a lot to have the energy to do everything.
That's incredible.
But yeah, I mean, like it's a very conventional and classical reply, but it's just the
No,
true. Yeah,
it makes sense. And I feel
yeah,
like sometimes you need the break from doing, like, I feel like if you were just filmmaking and just coming up with
yeah.
ideas consistently, it just gets so taxing on
Yeah,
your
true.
brain.
And like it happened like multiple times, and especially now, like we're like crossing some strange times and like into the film industry and like the production industry with AI and everything. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
another subject. So yeah, multiple times I was like, hey, I might, like stop, and then I need actually to do other stuff to come back to production because like I'm not shooting like I'm not filming most of the time. I have like maybe like 6, 7, 8 projects a year, which is like already a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be as effective as possible in every project so I can have like more time to do other stuff. But if I didn't have like the other stuff, I'm pretty sure I would have stopped filming.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I need like an escape room, like to do other stuff. Otherwise, I would be just like, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna stop doing because production is hard, and everyone working in this industry will know. So yeah, that's like a thing. If you have like balance with something else, that's the greatest job in the world for sure.
Balance is what it's about.
Once you see like a great shot and like the monitor, and you're like, yeah, this is the one. I wouldn't have like the same. It wouldn't have like the same flavor if I was not doing the other stuff around.
Yeah, because I feel like to really like miss some things, you really have to spend some time away from it, and
Yeah,
then
sure.
when you see some shots, you're like, oh, that's cool. And I feel like as a collaborator with other people, it's just nice to like have your own life going on, and then when you guys connect again
Yeah.
over the beer, over the wine, it's always like, oh, hey, by the way, I raced, or I did
Yeah, yeah.
this, or I did this. It's kind of
And
nice.
that's the other way around as well. Like when I meet like a great chef and like, hey, like I also do production and stuff. He was like, hey, we should do like this film. I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? And then also, having some different activities, it just helps me also a way to get away from the jobs that are just for paying your bills and everything. Like I
Yeah.
did so many like shitty stuff. I did like and then like my first actual film experience, I was working with a lot with L'Oreal and the luxury like brands like Lancôme, Armani, Yves Saint Laurent, all those. And then at some point, I was like, "Hey, this is not my passion. I don't want to send like lipsticks, sell like lipsticks or creams or whatsoever. I want to do like
Yeah.
like
Cool shit.
wine and racing
Yeah,
and
yeah,
watches."
yeah. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Oh, man, at least you found it though, and
Yeah, I mean,
because you
like,
know how hard it is for people to take that leap, especially when you have built that rapport with the company and, like, you're like, "Okay, paycheck, paycheck, paycheck," and to be like, "Hey, I don't really wanna do this."
yeah, yeah.
It's tough.
It's so tough. I mean, like, when I closed my company, it was like the toughest time of my life because I was like, yeah, I was losing the closest guys in my team, and I was just like, yeah, but I need to do it. I need to stop, like, because like you get like blindfolded by your own company at some point.
So oh, man, okay, so and which company was that?
It was Maison Carnot.
Oh, so you actually okay, so you closed that
Yeah,
company.
yeah,
Um
exactly. Yeah,
'Cause I was, like, reading, like, articles that you did back or, like, with interviews, and I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
this guy even had a techno music company."
yeah.
Uh,
So that was long time
that
ago.
was
Yeah,
a
like
long time ago. I
that
was
was a
like,
very
"I
long
gotta
time
ask
ago.
him about it. Let's
No,
see if
no,
he
we had like
remembers it."
so like we were like students like in this like business school in France, and then we were just like big fans of like electronic music, and we
Love
had
it.
like this label. Well, yeah, we had like a music label, just like doing parties, booking DJs, producing some music, and then and like I think the main thing, like the main event of the label was something called Terroir Électronique. So it's like terroir and electronics, and we're like like gathering all the like the wine producers and cheese producers like in
That's
France,
perfect.
and
That's
then like bringing in the same place the best DJs around in town, and just like basically eating like a barbecue, a pig, and then cheese, and listen to techno music during the entire day.
dude, that is like I like when someone says like go like do something that you love, like I feel like you're the epitome of like,
Yeah,
okay, whatever I'm gonna do, I'm gonna love it and it's let's just see where this thing goes.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know? That's crazy.
That was fun.
Oh my
That was fun times. I mean, like we're students, so at some point you graduate, you're like, okay, that's not gonna pay the bills. You have to do
yeah, yeah,
something
yeah,
with your life.
yeah. It was good for now. And
Exactly.
that's it. Oh my gosh. Okay, in that same interview, I like read something that you
Yeah.
said which caught my eye. It said, what really drives you creatively? And then you said, the one moment when you see the first edit of your film is where all the magic happens. It's a
Hmm.
real moment of personal satisfaction. What also drives me is how versatile the film production process is. It's not just one creative process among other formats. You need to write and read, listen to music, speeches, and voices. You need to see and compose different scenes and understand time and speed. The fact that you are using an immense range of tools and inspiration is what drives me creatively. The diversity. And my question was like, oh, does that still, after all these years, drive you? But as I'm talking to you, I feel like you've said that it like you talking
Yeah, in
about
a different way,
the
maybe.
shot in a very different way,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's still like
yeah.
the frame of like the water coming up and you saying like you and the crew were like, oh my fuck, like what the hell was that? It's like that. Does that also drive you like all those I guess little things, all the tools about different aspects? Does that drive you to like do like the racing, and creatively, you know help your mom out with the business and do that stuff?
Yeah, mm, I mean, like I spontaneously say yes, and I think it's the correct answer. Um, yeah, I think like creativity, it's very hard to define and describe. Basically, I think creativity is just replicating something that you observe in like observing your daily life, and you replicate that in like in a very own way, personal way. But that that's something very common to a lot of creatives out there. And the way that you can do that with your surrounding, maybe like helping your family business or whatsoever, like in a creative way, I think that's definitely something that's applicable to any kind of aspect of your life.
Mhm.
Racing, I mean, like racing, you're just like fighting the time. There is no creativity into.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Just
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like you just want to just stay alive from point A to point B, and then that's it. So like, if you get a little bit too creative, you'll basically die at some point.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So you gotta stay within the lines. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
All right, all right.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the most important thing as a film director, like skill wise, you think,
Skill wise,
or skills that you've learned that you think is like super
yeah.
important to
Okay,
carry?
something that I learned that's like super important is like there is two things. Like, and then if you have like two of those things, you have like 95% of success of a film. That is writing and scouting. The rest, I mean, like, I was a tech guy. I was like, hey, if I don't have like Alexa, I won't shoot
Mm.
like good stuff. Yeah, I don't have like the best anamorphic lens, it's gonna look like shit. And like, if I don't have like the best sound composer, the best, it's gonna, yeah. And then I was this guy at some point. So I was like I went to the industry like a bunch of other guys, like just gathering so much equipment that you're never gonna be able to sell after that, and just like laying around your room. And then I was that guy. And then I at some point I was just like, and I still because like most of the work I do is like it's a very small limited team. So I still have like a bunch of cameras and lenses, so I can like sometimes go out there and like do my own stuff. But the most important thing is like writing and scouting. Because like when you actually see the place, you understand a second version of your own words, or you discover like a second version of your own words, and that's where you actually building the scene inside your head, and then you rewrite
Ah,
everything, and that's but those are the two most important things ever: scouting, like the locations, and the writings. And you have to be able to describe everything that you see in your head so you can actually start looking to the location that fits the more just the scene you're imagining in your head. And then at some point when you actually see the location like for the first time, you're like, okay, that's gonna change something in my aspect, like my vision and everything. So those are the two and of course, I mean, like building the storyline and everything, those are the two most important things. But yeah, I would say, writing and scouting location.
Any shows, movies, creators, directors that inspire you, that you've seen, that you've watched recently, that you would want us to watch? Even if it's like your own friends, it could be anyone that you kind of just want us to like watch a show, movie, anything.
There is one film that like moved me along like a lot. It would be EE from Edward Young, who is a Taiwanese director. I was like born in Nice, but like I lived in Taiwan for maybe like 10, 11 years.
I love Taiwan. There's one of the
I,
most beautiful places
yeah,
in the
like
world.
no doubt about it.
People don't understand, like
Yeah,
it's like the hidden gem of Asia is like
yeah,
what
yeah.
it is. It's
And
crazy.
what I like about it is like there is not much people talking about it, and it's still like
Yeah.
very preserved, like mass tourism and everything. So
You did. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
And then yeah. So EE is a film like telling the story of a like following the life of a young boy. And then like every if you rewatch the film again, you understand like how like every shot is a masterpiece. There is like no randomness into this film. Every shot is like a paint. It's just incredible. And then so yeah, so that's why like when I was telling you about like observing and trying to replicate, and I feel like Edward Young did it like in such a beautiful way because he has he had to spend like hours or days for every single shot of that film to replicate something like this because it's so accurate and then so personal to Edward Young at the same time that it's like the most incredible film ever. And I'm not very objective because I'm half Taiwanese and half French. But that's probably I rewatch it like probably once a year because it's just so beautiful, and then I take inspiration from that film sometimes. For creators, yeah, like the stuff that I love. I've been like recently, I like during this summer on vacation, we were talking with some friends, like classic discussion, wine discussion, I would say.
yeah, yeah.
Like the top 5 films that you ever watch, and I think that we agree with my wife that Incendie is one of them. And then it is just like the storytelling of Incendie. It's one of like the first Denis Villeneuve movie. And Incendie is just, I mean, I have no words. It's just
Yeah.
the introduction shot is absolutely insane. The storyline is insane, and I wouldn't even talk about the end, which is I feel like it's the best writing ever on the screen for sure. Incendie, crazy film, and Denis Villeneuve himself is like inspiration because this
Oh,
guy, whatever he touched, it's just like
it's
becomes gold.
beautiful,
Yeah,
man. Everything. It's like
yeah,
so captivating,
yeah,
man.
exactly. Incendie, I would say Incendie and Yi are my two like top three
That's the
favorite
ones we should watch.
films.
Okay, I can't wait for people to like, you know,
Yeah,
watch it.
I know
Get
they're
on it.
hard to find.
Yeah,
Because Ensemble, yeah, but yeah, I mean, like it's still a Denis Villeneuve film, so you probably find it somewhere. But
somewhere.
yeah,
Especially now, I feel
yeah,
like more people are becoming fans.
yeah,
Especially,
sure.
yeah. Any advice for someone who is passionate about different things in their life, and how to pursue them?
Basically, the things that I really hate on the social right now is all those like fake talk show about like yeah, how to make money, insane amount of money, and I mean like all these things that we heard like over and over that you have to fail before success, like, and all this like success empire, and like has been like poisoning all the brains of everything because like you're so looking into success that, and you're so looking into failing that actually most people now are just trying to fail as quick as possible to obtain
Yeah.
success, and it's just like become nonsense. So I would say like Um, Following your passion and your stuff, like just try, at least try to do some stuff. And then don't even focus about like success or failure or whatsoever. Just try. It's not going to require much energy or whatsoever. Take your iPhone. Like iPhone is a very capable camera, and you can do like a lot of stuff with it. And stop listening to yeah. So that's the biggest advice. Stop listening to all that crap that we have on socials.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't go on social
Yeah,
media.
yeah, yeah. Like, don't buy any, don't buy any, like like how you say that, like
Yeah,
formation, like,
the course or like those. It's like those guides or like the
yeah, and
quick
like
way to do something.
exactly, like, and I've seen like more and more like online courses to do filming and everything. Just like, yeah, don't buy that crap. Do your own thing and then share it with your friends, and then you see their reaction, and that's already like huge. And you start from that, and then at some point one of your friends gonna say, hey, want to do like a small like a promotion video for my company or for my friend's company and blah blah blah, and things gonna work out at some point. But just like, yeah, avoid like social media crap,
Yeah, yeah,
basically.
yeah, yeah. Avoid social media is probably the best advice I've heard on here
Yeah, yeah, I
ever.
mean, not social media, but just like, like this general
Like,
tendency of doing crap stuff, like, yeah.
yeah, but it's what it is right now. I feel like that's
Yeah, sure, it
it's
is, yeah,
people are
sure.
always I guess it also depends on what you're using it for. Cause like I can't be on it for as much as I post. It's like as soon as I do that, I just don't go on my phone. I'm like I got better things to do. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah, sure.
can't like do whatever. But I
Yeah,
feel like having conversations like this is like the best use of
yeah,
my
for sure.
time. To be
Mm,
honest.
million times, yeah.